So the last topic is ECR. Okay, Elastic Container Registry. It is used to build the image, push the image, and pull the image. Okay, so generally what we do, the same thing we did in the Docker Hub as well. We'll create our custom image. Okay, using Docker build command. Okay, then that custom image using Docker push command will push it to Docker Hub, or we can use ECR as well. In this case, we'll be using Elastic Container Registry ECR. Okay, and once you push it, okay, it will be safe at the uh, container in the container registry. Then from any system, okay, we can pull it or directly run it. So remember, Docker run command will do Docker pull and Docker run only. Else we'll have to do Docker pull first and then Docker run also we can do. Okay, so the same thing we'll be doing now. We'll be creating first an ECR. Okay, so I'll go to this. I'll click on AWS icon. I'll search for ECR. Okay, click on Elastic Container Registry. Click on Create a repository. Okay, in this case, we are creating a public repository. Name it as HTML app1, the same which we are using in the exercise as well. And let's cross check if anything is missing. Okay, so that's it, public and HTML, and click on create repository. So our HTML app repository is created. Okay, now let's create our custom image. Okay, so we need a Docker installed. Okay, Docker is already installed. We'll create this directory structure. If there is already one, I'll just remove it. It's not there. So I'm inside HTML app directory. I'll copy index.html. Okay, we have index.html and Docker file. So what it does, it will copy the base image. It will pull the base image Nginx Alpine. Okay, it is Alpine is one of the OS like Ubuntu and all, very lightweight, mostly recommended for Docker containers. Then we do not have an environmental port, but environmental port variable is defined. Then we'll set the directory, that is we'll do cd into usr share nginx html inside the container, and we'll copy index.html. So here we have index.html that will be copied in this directory. Okay, this expose 80 is only for the demo purpose. Okay, just to make others aware for documentation purpose that this container runs on port 80, and then we are starting nginx inside it, inside the container. Now let's build the image. So first we'll tag it like this. Okay, we can remove this local host. Okay, but always follow this. Okay, it will help us in distinguishing which image it is. It is a local image. Okay, HTML app v1. We can also write only HTML app v1. We can remove localhost, but I'm including it now. So image is created. Sudo docker ps, nothing is running, no stop container, and just do docker images. Okay, and we have version 1. Now for testing, we can run it and check that it is running properly or not. So we'll do that. We'll run it locally. So if I do curl localhost 8080, I can see this is a simple HTML page. Custom image is there. Okay. Now we need to authenticate with ECR and then push the image. Okay. So what we will do is first let's try to push the image, and before pushing the image let's tag it. So first we tagged it as when we created the Docker image. Okay, the first -t was localhost.html app v1. Okay, now we'll create one more tag. Okay, we are saying that tag the existing tag. Okay, they use this as existing one and create one more tag like public ECR AWS and this. Okay, so you need to cross check whether your name is same or not. Okay, at least this one. So how to check that? Let's go to ECR, click here, and view push commands. Here it will show. Okay, so public ECR AWS, or best method would be just copy it, the tag command itself. Okay, so we are not using the latest tag. Okay, remember the only difference is we are using v1 instead of latest. We can also use latest if you want, but let's follow the document. Okay, so I'll tag it as ECR like this and version v1. Okay, so I would suggest you copy it from here only. Okay, instead of latest use v1. So here it build as HTML app. Okay, and then it tagged it. Okay, so I am first tagging and then I'll authenticate. Now if I do Docker images, we can see we have a ECR image tag properly. Next, let's push this image. Okay, sudo docker push. Okay, okay, so if you see, it will say authentication is required. Authentication token as a re-authenticate and try again. Okay, so we'll have to use this command to authenticate. Okay, and let's see if it gets authenticated or not. Let's use this command and press enter. Okay, cannot perform an interactive login. Okay, the security token included in the request is invalid. Why this error? Okay, we need to have AWS CLI configured. Okay, so cat generally it creates an AWS config directory. Okay, here config is there. What else? Nothing else is there, or credentials is there. Okay, so this credential expired. Actually, I generally after the demo I remove the keys. Okay, because it gets recorded and somebody can access it. Okay, so I removed it. Okay, now I need to reconfigure it. So that's why I'll go to IAM, users. In this case it is a DevOps user, and there go to security credentials. Okay, and create a new access key for command line. confirm it, and I'll just give my key, create access key. Okay, I'll again configure it. We can use the configure command or directly edit this file. Okay, I'll use AWS configure command. Okay, so our key has changed, and even the secret key, I'll just copy it. Okay, I'll keep it as US East 1 only and JSON. Okay, now first cross check AWS S3 LS. This is one of the easiest method. The empty response means there is nothing. It authenticated and it gave the response 0 because there is no S3 bucket. As of now, I have done all cleanup. Now again, go to our ECR. Click on repositories. So private repositories we do not have. Click on public repository. You may also face this scenario that you won't list it in the private repositories. Here it will be listed, and click again on view commands. Okay, copy this authentication command and again do authentication. This time it should work. I'll have to add sudo to it. It's here before docker. Okay, if you see now it says login succeeded. Okay, in Docker Hub, what we did, we just ran the command docker login. Okay, but in cloud it may vary. For GCP it will be some other command, for Azure it may be different, but in AWS we'll have to use it, and we do not need to remember it. If you see here itself they have given the command, or in the documentation it will be always available. Now let's push that container registry, sorry, the container image. So sudo docker images, and we'll just push this one. Okay, this one which we tagged, we just use docker push command. Okay, now it started pushing the image there in the container registry. Now let's click on the container registry. Okay, and if you see the version 1 of the image is loaded here. Okay, now we can directly do docker pull command, okay, from any other VM, and it should work. I already have this, okay, this image. Okay, so what I'll do is before pulling it, I'll just do the cleanup again. Bash cleanup.sh. So sometimes the running image may not work, so we'll have to do this docker ps. We'll have to stop and then do. Okay, so docker images, it is asking to do it one by one. So docker rmi -f, if I do, I think it will remove everything. If it doesn't, then I'll have to do one by one. Let's check that. Okay, so only one image is remaining. I'll remove that. Okay, docker rmi, if the script doesn't work, you can use this. Now we do not have anything here. Okay, and even docker ps-a will not show any running and non-running containers. So let's run this command now. Sudo docker images. I'll just do docker pull. Okay, so we now have that image downloaded. Else we can directly run it. Okay, So the command would be docker run -d -p 8091 will use port 80. Okay, and now in docker ps we can see the image is running. So we have pulled the image and we'll just do curl localhost 8091. Okay, so our custom HTML page is displayed. Okay. So I do not have another VM, but let's try with the Cloud Shell. Okay, so rather than doing run command, I'll just use pull command. There I'll go to shell. Let's see if it works. Cloud Shell. Let's see if Docker is installed here. Otherwise, we'll have to install it. Okay, it is there. It should work. Okay, so if you see, as it is a public, it will not ask for authentication, and from any VM, I can download it. I think it will also run it, but I think that much is sufficient. Docker images, it is downloaded on some other VM as well. So this is the Cloud Shell is the one of the VM or a container given by AWS for testing purpose for accessing something from AWS CLI and all. Okay, so that was the demo for ECR, creating a custom image, pushing it to the container registry and pulling it on the same system or on any other system.